This week, it's happened, we've gone electric, and we tell you what are the best accounting systems for your business and how can you get a better night's sleep. Welcome to the Profit Cash Growth Podcast. This is the podcast for 6 and 7 figure business owners who are looking to grow a financially successful business. My co-host, Claire Hancott, is a finance director, chartered accountant and entrepreneur. And every week, I'll be exploring guidance and frameworks designed to help you increase your profits, improve your cash flow and grow your business. So I can't believe you just said, did you go to Waitrose or right on your own, Simon?
Yeah, but I did
I can't shop on my own or something.
No, but we have very different food and drink taste, don't we? So if I go shopping on my own, it's a very different shop than when you go shopping on your own.
Did you get on OK on your own? Multi-million pound property portfolio, multi-million pound businesses, but did you get on all right in Waitrose?
In Waitrose.
Thanks, Claire. Anyway, this week we've gone electric, haven't we?
We have, finally.
And we haven't only just done this to complement the news story of the week, but we've got an electric car.
Yeah, I've been wanting to go electric for quite a while now.
And I've been anti-electric, I'll be honest about it.
Yeah, but you did some sums on the mileage and the calculation, which sounds a bit boring. Which sounds a bit boring actually for you, because it's not the type of thing that you normally do when it comes to cars. But finally,
the stats?
Yeah, you're not really into the numbers when it comes to cars. You're just like, I like that car, I'm going to have it.
I just want it to make financial sense, really. I don't mind doing it, but electric cars are really expensive. But actually, if you offset what you spend in fuel and charge from home now, and it's about costs about a third for the electricity to what the fuel was. So for some, you offset that off, even if you get no other benefits, like, yes, there's no tax on it, but that's going to go away, isn't it? That's just, they're bringing tax in soon. And to be honest with you, what swung it for me? Because obviously I've got the GTI at the moment, is that it does 0 to 60 in 7 seconds. It's as fast as the GTI, and actually quite frighteningly so, isn't it, Claire? Because you make this noise when I drive it now, don't you?
Well, we've got BMW, and I was driving it today actually in the rain, and it was quite slippy because it's rear-wheel drive, and they've got really quite thin tyres on them as well. They're like motorcycle kind of tyres. They're quite odd. But yeah, I actually, like, a couple of times the back, I don't want to be too dramatic here and say that, I was doing like donuts or anything like that, but it didn't feel that grippy.
It's just right, like the only donuts you do go in your mouth.
I know.
That sounds really mean. That's not what I meant. But
no,
anyway,
I do love a donut.
You don't do donuts in cars. It's not your thing, is it?
Oh, no, I'm a very safe driver.
Exactly. So, yeah, so I don't know where we're going with this, but yeah, we've gone electric. You make it sound like we've bought like a top of the range BMW. No, we bought the little runaround i3, the first electric car, as I now know from this news story, the first electric car made.
We got a 3-year-old one, didn't we?
It's only 3 years old.
Off Cint.
Fantastic price. I wouldn't want to have owned it from new because they cost 35 grand new, and we paid 12.5 grand for it. So that's frightening depreciation. That is the sign that electric cars actually are a bit of an unknown at the moment, and in the kind of world of whether they'll hold their price. But as we'll see, I think they're here to stay, and it's our news story of the week. So let's chat more about it. So this week's news story of the week is that BMW are hot on the tails of Tesla to become the largest electric car manufacturer. They're actually literally just a whisker behind Tesla for car sales. So the numbers this year, BMW have risen to 22,000, Tesla have declined to 25,000 cars, and they are anticipating that BMW will overtake Tesla as the largest seller of electric cars. Surprised? Not surprised?
No. I mean, I'm actually going to piss all over your parade here, Simon, with your statistics, because I think that this is like typical UK news media. Is they've found a number that works for a dramatic headline and they're running with it. And I just want to put some actual context behind these numbers, which is, of course, what I am always best at. And just to put some perspective on this, when we look at EV sales across the world, because actually I think this particular one is referring to the European market only.
It's completely UK. This is a UK because we are based in the UK. So I want to
put this in context. So actually, the biggest electric car seller in the world is BYD, Build Your Dreams, which is a Chinese manufacturer, and they sell a whopping 1.2 million cars a year.
Okay.
Followed by Tesla, who do 650,000 cars a year. Yep. Followed by BMW, who do a meager 200,000. So they're doing BMW, even though everyone's like, oh my God, BMW have gone mad, like, and even Volkswagen, actually, they launched their range not that long ago and had similar results and things like that. But it's just purely because they're breaking it into the marketplace. And there's been such, I can remember about 5 years ago, I think it was 4 or 5 years ago, going and looking at some of the Volkswagen electric vehicles. They only had concept cars at the time, and you could go and look at the concept car and you could put a deposit down and pre-order, but you wouldn't get your car delivered for over 2 years.
Yeah.
And then when they started to manufacture the cars, they had such delay due to this issue with the computer chips, the semiconductors, which they couldn't get, which particularly affected car manufacturer. And it basically meant that 2 year wait became a 3-4 year wait for an electric vehicle, which is why they are literally flooding to the market now. BMWs and Volkswagens are flooding to the market because of this backlog. But I think
I must say they're doing a cracking job though. I reckon that, if the UK is anything like what they're shipping out across the world, electric BMWs do seem to be literally everywhere now. They've got a great range. I mean, they're far better looking than Teslas. I mean, there's just a million things going on up there. I don't think every car manufacturer now is just getting their act together with electric vehicles. Tesla were just first off the mark, and I'm sure they're going to lose their crown in the next 10 years, aren't they? There's no doubt about that.
But I don't think they're losing their crown. They were just first to market. If you wanted an electric vehicle in Europe, you really only had Tesla.
Exactly.
So the other manufacturers did electric vehicles, but it was like they did one electric vehicle, whereas it was all that Tesla did. Their whole business was built on it.
But you know how history rhymes, that often the people that are first to market are never the ones that ultimately take the crown, are they?
I don't know.
Long term.
I think, people forget how far Tesla's come from releasing their first electric car. What was it, like 15 years ago now? Like the business model has moved on so much that actually cars is just one thing that they do. They're now moving into, actually most of what they're doing is around battery storage and other forms of transport and things like that. So,
of course. And they've pioneered the way. And, even if they do blend in as the rest of the market catches up, then they'll still be pretty solid. But I never hear great things about their car, because the problem is with Tesla is they're a technology company. They're not a car manufacturer. You take someone like BMW or Ford, or these people who've been manufacturing cars, it's in their blood. It's what they do. They're a car manufacturer. And I think that's been the biggest criticism that's always been sort of led on Tesla. But you certainly can't beat their batteries, the range that they get out of them, the speed. I mean, the fact they've got a 0 to 60 in 3 second version is unbelievable. So
one of the things I would say, as somebody that is not a petrol head, so I literally couldn't care less about the car. I'm interested in how nice it looks, how comfortable it is, and what gadgets it's got. I've had Audis, BMWs, Mercedes, Jaguars, all of those types of cars, and honestly, like some of them, like getting in a BMW is like getting into my granddad's house. Like, it's so old fashioned and it just feels a bit fuddy-duddy and nothing quite.
I don't think the new ones are like that.
They are.
They're just a new electric one, it's nothing like it. Completely different.
They're not snazzy. You get in a Mercedes or you get in a Tesla, and they are selling like a funky feel to them. They feel nice.
Just feel empty. They just literally have one screen in the middle and they just feel totally
That's what I love
empty.
about it. I feel like I'm stepping into a spaceship. I absolutely love it.
Anyway,
It feels
we're
futuristic.
going off on a tangent here. So the other point that I wanted to make is that is about the general move in electric cars. So there has been a lot of news this year about how there's been plateauing of the electric car market as a whole. A lot of the big players are pushing back at governments, saying they're just not going to hit these numbers because the demand isn't there. How do you sell into a market where there isn't demand? And that is a problem. And that's because, I'm just reading this stat here, so far in the UK, 85% of all electric car sales have gone to corporate fleets.
And that is purely, well, I say purely, it's mostly because of, firstly, corporate companies have got to give this perception that they're pushing to be more environmental. The environmental reporting was added to big companies' annual accounts. So if you go and look at somebody like Tesco's or Amazon, they have to have a whole environmental statement in their annual accounts now, which says about how much energy they use in their business and what they're doing to try and reduce that.
Yeah.
And that covers also, as much as it's energy in their buildings, it, is all about the materials they're using, the cars that they're driving, all of that type of stuff. So there's this big pressure on big companies because it's now become something that they are reporting on.
It's saying here, Claire, perhaps you can expand on this, that the 85% that go to corporate fleets are also going via tax efficient salary sacrifice schemes.
Yeah.
What's
so
that?
So basically, if you're paying somebody a salary of, I don't know, like £50,000 a year, you say to them, we'll pay you £45,000 and give you an electric vehicle.
Right.
But and then the electric vehicle becomes a benefit in kind, but a benefit in kind doesn't attract national insurance for the employee.
So it's just a more tax efficient way of employees themselves having the car. So I guess that's a little bit more worries. Like if 85% of it's going to there, you know what it's like in business. You need true market demand, and actually these are policy led market demand. So you've got this whole corporate element that is policy led. You've got, even in the personal market, that 15%, it's down to, you've got no tax on your vehicle, and those type of things that are driving their policy led decisions. So what happens? They're reining back on some of these policy led decisions.
Yeah, and grants for charges and all of those types of things.
What happens when they're not there? If they pull that rug out and the public demand just isn't there for whatever reason. I'm not saying, because it seems like to be like the biggest issue is getting the everyday person into those electric cars. I'm guessing the biggest thing is that adoption of change, the fear of change, which most people are scared to death of change. It's quite a big change to go from a fuel they've known for 30, 40 years to just like, I don't know anything about this, and they've got to go and learn about it. Plus, obviously, the cost to individuals, which is very expensive.
I think the cost is a big factor when we've got high interest. Well, I say high, I use that in loose terms because it's not high. It's just high compared to what we've been used to. When we've got interest rates, as they are at the moment, and therefore the cost of getting finance and things like that. But I just think a big part of it is when you go and you shop for a new car, probably 75-80% of the vehicles in the showroom would have been petrol and diesel cars, and such a small amount would have been electric. So you wouldn't have the choice, and it would still feel like this was cutting edge technology and things like that. But I really, when you understand the EV market around the world, like take Norway for example, 60% of vehicles on the road in Norway are electric.
Yeah,
and when you,
look, I get it. I mean, now having had one as we have, it's I get it. The technology works, and we have quite an old technology one. So the newest ones have great ranges. It just works. It stacks up. You just know that
the main thing is just the cost,
hard, isn't it?
And it's very difficult for people to do that calculation to say, I might save on fuel, but okay, you might save on fuel, but then what happens if your life changes and your fuel consumption goes down? Then you still got this high monthly car payment. It's all of those things that people are layering on. But electric vehicles are becoming more competitively priced. They are becoming more mainstream, and I do think in 10 years' time, unless you want to go and buy a second-hand vehicle, you won't be able to buy a new petrol or diesel car anyway. So it's happening, and people are deluded if they think it's not happening. They absolutely are deluded, because everything is geared towards making it happen. And
I think we've just proven the point that after literally 3 or 4 years, the price of these cars is so affordable. Then I say affordable. I don't mean to belittle it, but it's something that you can get on board with, spending 12 grand on a car, and to get a nearly new car. I guess the bit in the back of my head is, oh shit, it's like if I'd have bought that new, I've just lost £23,000 in 3 years.
Staggering.
Frightening. Frightening. And I'm still like, a bit of me's like, there's a big why around that, because the GTI, the up GTI that I bought in 2020. We've had that for 4.5 years. I paid £12,500 for it, and it's worth £12,500 now. It's not depreciated a bean. It's mad,
honestly,
isn't it?
If anybody could see me rolling my eyes, because Simon goes on about this all the bloody time about this up GTI being the best car he's ever bought and how it's held its value, blah, blah, blah.
Phenomenal though, isn't it? Phenomenal. You can't knock that. I mean, everyone wants a free car for 4 years.
But
that's basically what it is.
Electric cars are coming. There's probably...
Well, they're here, Claire.
I think they are going to become mainstream. I think the general public are getting more on board with it. And also, if you are interested in salary sacrifice, potentially, it could be a good benefit for your employees. I will do a little YouTube video in the next few weeks about it as well, just to explain exactly how it works and why it's so beneficial. Whether you're looking to offer it to your employees, or potentially if you're looking at getting an electric car, normally it's more tax efficient for a director to get an electric car through their business as a business car. So I'll do a little video on that and explain exactly why.
Awesome. And don't forget, in the UK, very shortly, it's going to be BMW. They're going to be the biggest one. So buy one of them. Let's move on to this week's deep dive. So Claire, this week, you're going to tell us what the best accounting system is for your business. I believe you work with, I don't know, how many, like the top 3 or 4? There's like a top 3 or 4, isn't it? I'm sure there's like loads of smaller ones, but is there 3 or 4 big names?
Yeah, probably QuickBooks, Xero, Sage.
QuickBooks, Xero, Sage, ClearBooks.
ClearBooks, I'd not say it's in the top 3 at all. It's definitely not in the top 3 in terms of the biggest,
4.
the top. Well, in terms of the most well known, it's Xero, QuickBooks, and Sage.
Why are they the most well known? Just have the biggest budgets.
Sage has been around for donkey's years. Sage is like the original accounting system. 20 years ago, pretty much every business used Sage. Every accounting business used Sage.
Yeah, they kind of like. It feels like they kind of like just had a monopoly on like business accounting. Like it was just like you loaded it, you had a PC in the business and that was the PC that ran Sage.
And do you know what I think a big part of it was when you do your accountancy studies is a like accounting software module that you do, and Sage was the supporter of that. So you would get a license to Sage as part of it. You'd learn how to use Sage and you'd learn how to practically, do bookkeeping and things like that.
Cool, they did a good job getting
they did a phenomenal job,
didn't they? That kind of made their business, I guess.
Xero's definitely taken over. Xero is like a global organisation. It's absolutely humongous.
Is that the biggest?
It is. And one of the reasons why Xero has been able to become so big is because not only does it offer like the front end system for business owners, so like, posting all the invoices and getting your management accounts and all of that kind of stuff, but it also, there's a huge amount of stuff in the back end for helping accountants like manage their practice. So if you think, if you're an accountancy practice and you've got multiple clients, you've got to, make sure that everybody's VAT returns are submitted on time and their year end accounts and, everything that's got to be done. There's loads of filings to HMRC, there's year end accounts, and you can do all of that within Xero as well. So it's what we call practice management software, and Xero offers that to accountants. So as a accountant, most accountants want their clients onto Xero, because then everybody's on one software and they get all the practice management software for free as well.
Okay, so I mean, that sounds like it was a cute move by Xero as well.
Yeah, really smart move.
To look at the true customer that you would call it, which is the accountant rather than the business owner, maybe.
Yeah, absolutely. And Xero, I know Xero do a lot of TV adverts and stuff like that, but they are humongous in the bookkeeping world in particular. Like they are literally like targeting bookkeepers left, right, and centre. You can do, they offer like free training. You get like a free account manager no matter what size your business is. They are so supportive of bookkeepers, and they speak at all like the big trade events for bookkeepers. There's even like a show that they do in London called XeroCon, and it's just a whole entire day of Xero and everything that Xero can do for your bookkeeping practice. So almost, particularly if you're a new bookkeeper or new to the industry, they literally just make it feel like it's the only route you can go.
Okay. And just
very, very
purely
clever.
Curiosity, is it like, is that globally they're taking over? It's just like, no matter where you are, it's not just a UK thing or American?
Yeah, Xero are very well known around the world.
Okay.
Because actually most bookkeeping systems are like the same. It's just the tax legislation that changes. So like your tax percentages might change, but overall, VAT is VAT. You just get a different percent in different countries. So it's that type of thing. So Xero are huge, around like billions they do in turnover.
And do you think they regret calling their name Xero with an X?
Oh, yeah, I don't know.
Because every time there's an advertisement for them, they have to spell their brand name. It feels like it's like marketing problem 101. Everyone should be able to understand Google and know what your name is without having to spell it out to them.
But are Xero, like, I wonder whether they're becoming like a Hoover. Nobody ever says vacuum cleaner, do they? You don't say pass me the vacuum cleaner, you say pass me the Hoover. You don't say pass me the pen, you say pass me the biro. It's that type of thing.
I don't think
Xero getting to that legendary status?
I don't think their brand name's ever going to become a verb or whatever it's called.
I think it will. I think they're that big.
What, you think it's going to be a replacement for the word accounting system?
I know bookkeepers and accountants.
It's very dull.
That can only use Xero. They couldn't use anything else. So if you are not...
Yeah, that's like any system though, isn't it? People get, it's like you look at me like, how on earth do you use Apple Macs? Like you literally don't know how to use my laptop when you pick it up, do you, compared to using a Windows one? It's like that, isn't it? It's whatever you're comfortable with, I think.
But I'm going to be honest.
Yeah.
I bloody hate Xero.
You hate it?
I absolutely hate it. I hate it with passion.
It's made for accountants, isn't it? You just said.
No, it's made for non-accountancy people. So because the interface is made for business owners, it's very rigid. So as an accountant, when you know what you're doing, you can't shortcut anything. There's loads of flexibility that you're missing. You can't do things that you should be able to do essentially as an accountant. It's very rigid. Right. But also, I just think it actually looked like they are going through a lot of updating on it at the moment, but some of the screens look really old-fashioned now. And it's not what, you know, when you see the adverts on TV and you go on the landing page on their website, they look very cutting edge, but actually a lot of their software
the physical system is different.
Is actually still quite legacy.
Right.
And I just think it's missing some really basic features. The only thing that I do really like about Xero, and this is why generally I'd say that Xero is good for businesses, but, you know, businesses can actually grow to probably about 10 million turnover, depending on the complexity. You know, if you're a business with stock, or you're a distribution business, or you've got a lot of transactions, then Xero probably isn't the right system for you. But otherwise, most businesses, particularly service-based businesses, could grow to about 10 million and still use Xero, and it'd be absolutely fine for their needs. And a part of that is because of the amount of apps that can bolt on and fully integrate with Xero. And I don't just mean like integrate, like you can download a spreadsheet from one and upload it into Xero, like literally like a live API link. You can click something in, I don't know, like one system, and it arrives and creates an invoice in Xero, that type of integrated connection.
Okay.
And that's why Xero is so good, and why if I work with we do a lot of projects for clients where they're moving from particularly Sage onto Xero, but any software package or setting up for the first time. And generally, I always say Xero is pretty much the road that we push most people down because of the amount of apps. If you don't even know whether you're going to need something in 2 or 3 years' time, but you can almost guarantee there will be an app for it.
So they can future-proof their API bolt-ons and various other things.
Yeah.
Well, that's lucky, because literally I had a phone call 5 minutes ago at Xero and they were cancelling the sponsorship agreement. But literally they've said you've just pulled it out of the bag, so it's back on board. So there you go. So, okay, so that's Xero. You quite like that. What about Sage?
I detest Sage with a passion.
Okay.
In fact, I think...
You said this about Xero and then suddenly...
No.
Is this one going to come out? It's going
Sage
to come
is next
out?
level. Sage is like next level hate. In fact, I'm doing a quote for a potential customer at the moment, and they said to me they're on Sage. And, you know, actually most people that are using Sage are still on the desktop version of Sage. So it's not even like cloud accounting or anything like that. It's literally a desktop. So they have to create a backup of their system, which they then send to me, and I then load it into my Sage.
Like the Blockbuster of accounting systems.
Exactly. It's so old fashioned, but Sage, it's just so... One of the things in Xero is if you open an invoice in Xero, you can see the attachment, and if there's like a number that you want to drill down into, you can click and you can keep clicking, and everything's linked and it can take you further and you can keep going deeper. You can't really do that as much on Sage. So that's a big limitation of it. It's very linear, but it's just so clunky. Like trying to review your profit and loss, for example, you don't just go to a screen and review your profit and loss. You have to run a report, and that report takes like you put your
very
criteria
old-fashioned, isn't it? Like the whole thing, like you report builder. You need the report builder alongside the system. Yeah,
like for example, you go to the invoices, and in Xero there's a handy little tab that says you want to see all invoices, unpaid, paid, like everything in query. You've got these like handy little options that you can just click on that sorts things. Not in Sage. In Sage, you have to go to invoices and then you have to put a filter on. But the filter is so old school. It's like you select the button filter, then you have to say what do you want to filter. I want to filter the date, and I want to say the date is equal to, and then you type like it's just it's ridiculous.
So we're parking Sage. That's definitely not
one
great.
of the
we'll
reasons.
Rank them in
I'm going to say though, one of the reasons why I don't think Sage is good is, and I'm referring to Sage 50 accounts. Sage has got quite a few different packages, and Sage ERP is one that I do think small businesses should consider, but that's generally more expensive and a lot of small businesses don't have. But in particular, one of the things why I don't think Sage is very good is because it's really difficult and slow to get information out of Sage.
Okay, yeah.
So if you want to, for example, do management accounts or do any reporting analysis, for example, I needed to just export 30,000 transactions out of a system, which actually isn't that much. And it took about 2.5 hours for that to run out of Sage. Whereas if I did the app Xero, that would probably take about 90 seconds. So just imagine if I put the wrong criteria on that report and I had to do it again. That's like a day gone.
Okay, mental. QuickBooks then. Let's talk about QuickBooks.
QuickBooks is for really small businesses.
Okay.
It's definitely not marketed like that.
Not our audience. Yeah. Is just the number one reason for it.
They do market QuickBooks as being appropriate for, same as Xero, but it's just not. The way you use it, everything's geared up for mostly sole traders, actually. Like, that's my personal opinion. I think it's more geared at sole traders. The terminology that they use in QuickBooks, everything like that is for really small businesses.
Okay, so your one-man bands, your plumbers, various things like that. So if somebody's listening to this with the over £500,000 turnover business in our category, they should be worried a little bit if they're on QuickBooks at the moment and thinking about the future.
Yeah, Look, if you're a service-based business, then you can probably grow on pretty much any system anyway. Because if you're service-based, then predominantly what you're going to be using is you're going to be using the invoicing. You're going to be posting invoices, purchase invoices, raising sales invoices, and doing your bank recs.
Yeah.
And all of the systems will do that. Then what you need to think about is the reporting. And actually, the reporting on Xero and QuickBooks is pretty much the same. It's not that flexible. And so actually, when you get to a certain size, you find that whatever system you've got, you end up taking the information out of your accounting system and into Excel, or I use some bolt-on software, and particularly like Data Rails is one that I use a lot of. That's like a specific reporting system. So we take your data out of your accounting system, we upload it into Data Rails, and that just is much more intelligent, like accounting reporting software that we use. And if you're a service-based business, then you can do that with pretty much any system. Where it becomes more complicated is if you're a business that needs to be using things like purchase orders or stock management. That's when Xero has those features over and above QuickBooks. But even in Xero, they're very basic. So I wouldn't be recommending that if you've got purchase orders and stock and things like that, that you're using the out-the-box functionality in Xero. Chances are you're going to be using an app that integrates with Xero.
QuickBooks.
No, I wouldn't say QuickBooks at all. If you're a business that's got stock or purchase orders, I would say get off of QuickBooks.
Okay, cool. So what does that leave us with? So we've covered Sage, Xero, QuickBooks. So we think QuickBooks too small if you're likely the type of business that's listening to us.
Sage too old.
Sage too old.
So it leaves you with Xero.
So it leaves you with Xero.
Is still far from perfect.
ClearBooks, is that not really?
Well, do you know what? I go on about ClearBooks and nobody really knows it very well. They're a relatively small UK-based business, and I first got into ClearBooks probably about 15 years ago now, and I started doing bookkeeping for a client that happened to use it. And ever since that, I've been like a devout fan of ClearBooks, and I think it is a fantastic system. And one of the things that I really like about ClearBooks is that it's been built to be a bookkeeping system, and you can do your payroll in it, you can do your VAT returns in it, but you don't have all of this extra functionality that accountants want. So there's none of this like, I need to be able to lock down these bits in the system because I want to do a tax return at year end and I need to know what transactions these are in these transactions, and none of that exists. It's just literally the simplest system in the world in terms of usability.
So again, probably quite good for smallish businesses, bit above the sole trader, but
no, because I work with businesses that literally do like multi-million pounds and they're on ClearBooks.
Okay. And you get what you want out of it and what you need.
It's super quick as well. It's web-based, so everything's cloud. It's super quick. The price is comparable to Xero as well, so it's much of a muchness. The thing that I really like the most about ClearBooks is they've got this really cool invoice system. So it comes with an app, like Xero does, for example, where you can snap your receipts and your invoices on the go. You can digitally, electronically send everything into the system and it stores it. It will automatically post your invoices for you. Like if you send in a purchase invoice for Google, it will extract all that information for you and you can just check it and approve it. So it's got all the same functionality. The problem with ClearBooks is it doesn't have the integration with third-party apps.
Okay, yeah. So it's just missing that element.
And if it does have integration with some of them, so like
that's just
Cardless, Stripe,
if they're a smaller
like
company, it's deep pocket stuff that is the development to do that. But
what a lot of people don't realise is Xero has a lot of integrations because they own the software. But so that's what it's all about. But if I'm working particularly service-based businesses that tend to be CRM heavy and have a lot of their business tends to be run by a CRM, then actually ClearBooks is fantastic. And I say absolutely go with ClearBooks. I love the financial reporting in ClearBooks. The cash flow reporting is just so good. It's so easy to get information out of ClearBooks as well. And I love it. I like the interface. I think it's clean. I think it makes sense. There's no terminology in there that you don't understand if you're not an accounting person. It's invoices, bills, bank. What more do you need on your menu?
Yeah.
Whereas you go into Xero and you've got to think, even when I go into Xero, I think, do I want business or do I want accounting? It's like, why do they even use that terminology?
So how does it work with like big businesses, things like SAP and Microsoft Dynamics? And does Salesforce now do an all-in one? Is that everything
really,
including accounting? No.
So,
I'm amazed if it didn't, because they are like...
This is where you get into the realms of like ERP systems. And ERP basically is like a business-wide system.
What does ERP stand for?
Enterprise Resource P. I can't think. Enterprise Resource something.
Find it.
But basically,
program?
Yeah, it might be program actually. But basically it means it does everything. So everything is integrated. So everybody in your business should be able to use this piece of software to do their job. Be they work in accounting, HR, the warehouse, sales.
It's the big business thing where every department
it.
you go to, they're all logging into the same system. It's sort of different arms to the system, isn't it?
Yeah. And the biggest systems, the most well known as like SAP and Microsoft Dynamics. But actually, some of these systems can be really relevant for businesses doing a few million and above, particularly when you get the more complex businesses. So businesses with stock, so distribution businesses, manufacturing businesses, anything like that, where there's complex, like lots of transactions and things that you need to track in your business, like products or parts, anything like that, then actually ERP could be the way to go rather than Xero. And Sage do a really good ERP, Microsoft do an ERP, but also there's other people.
Am I right in saying the downside to ERP, though, from the history I've ever been, is that they're just a never-ending money pit of development? Like, it just feels, if you either need to have the in-house capability to develop it, or if you outsource, it's even more expensive. It's just constantly tens and tens of thousands of pounds a year of just constantly, because every time you need to tweak the slightest thing, it's like multiple thousands of pounds.
There are like some halfway houses. So like Sage do like more, they call it like a medium business ERP. Yeah. If you're going to go with,
because you custom build them, don't you? Usually, because
if you go with the really big products like SAP or Microsoft Dynamics, then you are basically custom building that, and you need an in-house development team to constantly maintain and monitor that software, not even develop it. But there are some halfway houses. But actually, I tend to find like a halfway house is, if you're like a distribution business, you need to have like a warehouse system that runs your business, and then you have a finance system that will somehow link with that.
Okay.
And if you're a sales, like a service-based business is doing sales, you need to have a really shit hot like CRM system, and then you have your finance system which somehow integrates with it. So I find that's where a lot of businesses sort of end up when they're in this up to maybe like 10 to 20 million, is they get the bit of their system that's really important to them to be that manufacturing, sales, distribution, and then they have a finance system which kind of tries to collect all the information and pull everything together.
Okay, so summarise for us.
I hate Xero, but most people use it, and unfortunately I do recommend it a lot. Stay away from Sage. It's the worst piece of software that exists in the marketplace at the moment. QuickBooks if you're a really small business. Consider ClearBooks if you're a service-based business.
Thanks for that, Claire. Let's move on to this week's Profit Cash Growth Extra. So this week on Profit Cash Growth Extra, it's really simple. Sleep is the most important thing in your life. And to me, it's a good quality mattress topper.
That's been life-changing, hasn't it? Although we didn't have a very good experience buying it. We bought it from Emma.
So everybody's probably been through this situation where you buy a mattress and you then upgrade and buy another mattress, and then you keep spending more and more, didn't we? We got to the point where we spent like $1,500 on a mattress, thinking like, this is just trying to make it better and better and better. And it still wasn't sensational, was it?
No, it wasn't.
So what did we do?
Well, I ordered a mattress topper from Emma, and actually I was super excited to order. It's one of these like TV advert things that we saw, and they sell like these memory foam mattresses and things like that, and they promise this excellent customer service, get it to your house, try it for 90 days, if you don't like it, send it back. And they gave me a delivery day of like 2 weeks after my order, and I thought fine, no problem, and my product never came. I emailed them and I got like a response almost immediately, which seemed like from a person saying, we're so sorry you've had this experience, leave it with me, I'll come back to you in 30 minutes. Nobody ever came back to me, so I emailed them again, and I got exactly the same email saying, we're so sorry you've had this response, leave it with me, I'll come back to you within 2 days. Nobody ever came back to me. And I just kept getting this response from them, and then I'd get an email saying your delivery's coming, and it would never arrive. So we didn't have a really good experience with Emma, and I eventually sent them a shitty email demanding a refund, and then the next day my mattress topper arrived.
And we were actually, it's not just as simple as just get a mattress topper, because we did have one beforehand which was like a fabric one, and it was like okay, but it didn't like game change it. But it was like when you got this, it was slightly more expensive, but it's like, I guess my message is, if you've got a half decent mattress, you can make that shit hot with a really good mattress topper. Don't buy a new mattress next time because they last much longer. Just buy a shit hot mattress topper. And honestly,
I would say though, Simon,
I've never woke up since.
I feel a little bit embarrassed that you've put this on the Profit Cash Growth Extra, because that mattress topper was £500, and that's probably more than a lot of people have spent on that mattress in the first place.
Was
so
what you're doing
is going and suggesting that people go and basically buy another mattress, but you only get the top
that's why
bit
it was
of it.
that's why I've had the best sleep ever since. Okay, really good. But it's done the job, hasn't it?
It has done the job. It's very good. And it
check
doesn't
it
make
out,
you
because
hot.
I don't believe you. 500, I don't feel like I would have authorised 500 quid on that. But
no, but
anyway,
you don't authorise a lot of my spending, do you? But look, you get really poor service from Emma, but they make really good mattress toppers. So do check them out, because you can't put a value on your health, and sleep is so integral to it. I know I'm really grumpy and I can't concentrate if I haven't a good night's sleep. So it's so important to run in a business that you're always able to fire on all cylinders.
I'm the same after 3 bottles of wine, aren't I?
Yeah.
Anyway, thanks for joining us for this week's podcast. If you've enjoyed it, please rate, review and subscribe wherever you found us. And if you think you might have outgrown your accountant, you can get in touch with Claire and the Profit Cash Growth team. Go to the website profitcashgrowth.com, check her out on the YouTube channel, and as always, we will see you again next week.